Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 373 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined miraculously, not always, but occasionally, and today, from the Atlanta airport, Willie Saylor. Willie, how you doing? Where are you right now?
I'm in the B-dubs in Atlanta. I've actually put quite a few back in this airport, in this establishment in my time. In this particular one, in Atlanta.
So Willie thought he was slick and was going to stay an extra day in Vegas. And he got abandoned, or he got stuck in Vegas, and now he's still trying to make his way.
It was a total botched plan. Total botched plan. Because first of all, I got so banged up Saturday night. I lost $1,200.
Oh my
I didn't
gosh,
even stay
Willie!
Up that late. It was real quick. It wasn't really quick. Me, Win Mahalik, and Jaden Ironman playing a little crap.
Okay. Well,
played too long. Blew all kinds of money. The next day, I was all hungover. I didn't even do anything the next day. I wanted to take the next day and have fun. Couldn't. Laid up. All I did was watch Arya Stark kill armies with one blow.
We received for FRL questions a disproportionate number of Game of Thrones related inquiries, which I guess we can get to some of those later on. And the stories of your struggle could take up 3 FRLs, Willie. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So then I got out anyway. The point is, then there was.
You never actually got to the point.
Yeah, there was thunder and lightning. Flight was delayed. Got here at Atlanta Airport last night at 11:30. Of course, the flight to Allentown was I missed it, so I slept. Actually, wrote an article for a while.
Scary.
With $700 shoes on.
With $700 shoes on. Yeah. It's just like, I'll drive, Cam. No, it's cool. But yeah, you should have got scooped up by Fretwell. Big mistake by you. Okay. The U.S. Open happened. Half of Final X is set. And I think the biggest story coming out of the U.S. Open is one Yianni Diakomahalis, who I believe none of us picked. I believe most of us picked either some combination of J.O. or Zane. And he answered every question that could possibly be asked. He had the most difficult possible path, and he did it. He ran through Dardanes, ran through Molinaro, ran through J.O., and then took out Zane late.
In retrospect, why did we take him?
Oh, I think, okay, why didn't we? I think there's a lot of reasons. One, we watched him all folk style season long, and he wasn't a dominator, and freestyle is his best style for sure, but we didn't see him last year. Our last freestyle glimpse of Yianni was him losing to Ryan Deacon, okay? Then he goes, and he's a 2-time NCAA champion, and he's amazing at folk style, but he's right there with the McKennas. I mean, right there. Controversial win over Joey McKenna. Right? Tight win over Jaden Ironman. None of those guys do we view as Oliver or Zane level, right? So you're like, okay.
Tight one over Dean Heil last year.
Tight one over Dean, right? So it's like, all right, he's right there. He's the best of this group that includes McKenna and whatever. But you're just not ready to make the leap that he's going to be better than Molinaro or Zane at this point. Like, that was the next test, right? So I think it's not like I had this like, oh, I should have seen this coming or anything. It's like, no, I think we made the appropriate prognostications at the time with all the information we had, and now that we know what we know, yeah, I think Yianni's going to make the team. I think he's got a great shot at a world medal, right? And now I can say that.
I'm 100%. 100% on board with all those things. I just want those said. I mean, because some people will say, well, why didn't you go with Yianni? Well, we just told you why.
And
that was
also,
our rationale. And now we see this difference. And, I wrote, when I was here in the Atlanta airport last night, I wrote an article, like 9 or 10 redemption stories from the Open. And I put Yianni in there, and I think that will surprise some people, but it will only surprise you if you just take into account his NCAA season. If you remember, Yianni won a Cadet World title in 15. In 16, he was supposed to go to the junior trials, got sick, won another cadet title after that. But he's been kind of snake bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been like in 17, 18. He hasn't been on a team. He hasn't been otherworldly in the freestyle. And so I think it is overcoming a hurdle. I think it is overcoming redemption. He was hurt for a while, sick for a while. Right, man?
And one of my questions was, real quick, another reason that I was kind of like not sure is like, is he ready for the physicality that a guy like Nolf or a guy like Zane, not just the pace, I think he can withstand pace. That wasn't really my question, but like, is he going to get beat up a little bit? I mean, is Frank Molinaro going to move him around? None of that happened. None of that even got really close to happen. The attacks that Zane got in on were not like it was just good leg attacks. So that was another reason I was like not sure. But now I know. Now I know, Yianni.
When he shook his finger at me right before the interview, I was like, damn it. I had one of those moments, Will. I know, and I was with you guys, right? Like, I thought J.O.
shook your finger at me.
If you watch the interview, okay. I did the whole thing just in case he did something, right? Like before we started the interview, he went like this, gave me one of those.
Because Nomad said J.O. is going to win the Open and left himself no outs whatsoever.
Yeah. Which is fine. Because I believed it. But then when he did that, I was like, man, because it was the same thing that, and I still picked J.O. Like, I'm not trying to change my pick, but it was the same thing when I picked. No, I'm just gonna explain. When I was talking about it, like, again, the guy who won was his age last year. Was a 20-year-old who was at Cadet Worlds the same year Yianni was. Does the age and strength thing not matter? And is it just who is better at wrestling? Now, I still thought J.O. was gonna be better at wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw Yianni do it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Yianni. But the last time we saw him wrestle freestyle, he lost to Ryan Deacon, who, by the way, just beat James Green and is in Final X. So
what the heck?
We'll get to that. We'll get
to that in a second. But I had that moment, Will, where I was like, yep, screwed up.
Unreal.
Well, I don't think that any of us screwed up. We're working off of data. We're working off of what we had to work with. And you have to see it before you're going to go with it. And Yianni is just a freak. He's just a freak. He beat our Olympian who wrestled for a medal. He beat J.O., who's been second numerous times, and he beat another world team member.
Yeah, a 3-time. I mean, one of the best college wrestlers ever. And he beat him in his first crack.
And I'll say this:
you would have thought with Zane, it's like, okay, he'll get a feel for him at the Open, he'll win the trials, and then we'll see if he's ready by Final X. It's already now, and Yanni's going to be the one with the upside and the arc, and the one that's going to be able to make more adjustments. Zane is Zane right now, right?
I'll also say this, and you can poo-poo it all you want. The word that I heard, anyway, the word that I heard was that J.O. gets the best of Yianni. He's one up Yianni in the room, right? Poo-poo it all you want. When the lights are on, Yianni's a different breed.
Yeah.
No question.
Didn't Yianni say in one of his interviews he's never beaten J.O. before?
He said anything that's been longer than a minute, I have not beaten him.
Okay.
In a live go.
And one thing I'll say to that is J.O. coming off weight. I mean, how big is J.O. when he's normally wrestling him versus right now? right? I think
that's
maybe
true too. That's true too. But I do think there is a thing.
Oh, for sure.
I do think there is a thing that I don't know if it's, and I've said this a million times about when the lights are on, and sometimes people laugh at that, but I do think there's. Jake Herbert was one. Jake Herbert. If you talk to a bum off the street, they'd be like, "Yeah, I was in practice with Jake Herbert the other day. I beat him." He wasn't the best in the practice room. He elevated when it was game time.
Yeah. But my thing with the lights on, the reason I laugh at the lights on thing, I laugh at it when it's like, oh, he didn't try in this match, but in this match he'll try. Practice is different. Practice, yeah, I get that all the time, and for sure guys are different. But when you say like, well, Big Tens doesn't matter, but the lights will be on because now it's NCAAs, that's when I'm like, LOL.
No, I mean, I think there is. I'm fully convinced that there is a thing that people rise to the occasion. There are some wrestlers that rise to the occasion. They wrestle better in bigger moments.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yianni certainly one of those at this point, and man, I'm not sure the variety of ways he can score. First of all, man, just attacking his legs is like a 50-50 proposition at best.
You say that, and I'm glad he brought this up because a while ago, him and I had a conversation about, where are you at in your training? What do you need to do to be the best? And he's like, we were talking about Sadulayev, and as good as Sadulayev is, right, at scoring, you don't touch Sadulayev's legs.
No.
Basically, right? So, to Yanni's point, he's like, if Zane doesn't touch my legs, I win 4-0. But Zane repeatedly got in on his legs. Basically, all these guys repeatedly got in on his legs. And I know that can be a part of his thing, but the number one thing that he knows he has to work on is not letting these guys get to legs and not even getting in a situation where he has to scramble out of it. Because he can create offense from there, but it also increases the odds of getting scored on.
Yeah.
Well, we saw J.O. We saw J.O. score on him and get in on him numerous times with low level stuff and ankle pick stuff, right? I mean, that was how J.O. scored, right? And Zane's score was a double. So I guess what I'm saying is it has to be cleaner. It has to be forceful. I mean, if you give Yianni a second to react, at your own peril.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think he's ever going to be a head hands master like Sadulayev. I don't think that's the template for Yianni to be like for him to measure success. You look at a lot of these Russians, they'll let you in.
Yeah.
And then that's when the game starts, right, with them. So I think it's always going to be a component. I mean, look how he won his NCAA title against Meredith. That's how he did it. Meredith got in and he forced an exchange and
he did right. That and McKenna.
Same with McKenna. Yeah, exactly right.
Right. We all said with McKenna that stall warning changed the match.
Yep.
Because now Joey took a shot. So when you shoot against Yianni, you do it at your own peril.
Yeah.
Going forward, now, I mean, there's lots to get into. Yianni may or may not win the spot on the team. It'll be interesting to me if Yianni does win the spot on the team, if he can go get one against the international guys when he needs to, right?
Yeah. Man, at this point, I'm going to skew aggressively towards the positive with Yianni. So while I haven't seen it, and hey, Monday, we're going to get to see him against that bona fide international guy in Bajrang, the Indian. Really good guy, world medalist. So another little test. And I think Yanni's going to beat him. I think he's going to beat him Monday. And it's going to add to his resume, add to his confidence, give him more experience. And I think the more times this guy can be immersed in these like elite environments and competing against really good guys, the better it is for him. Because the guy's just going to be like a sponge.
What happens? What happens? There was quotes, or somebody had asked him about this already. What if he goes and medals at Worlds this year?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Does he take a? No. I'm not surprised by it either. What I'm saying is, does he take an Olympic?
Yes.
I think regardless.
Regardless?
I mean, I don't think medaling at Worlds is like, okay, now I need to really go. If you win the U.S. Open, even if he hadn't won the Open, I think it was being discussed. I thought it was actually kind of established he was considering it.
Right. I don't think he wouldn't do it if he didn't win a medal. I just think if he wins a medal, it's like slam dunk, like 100%, no doubt. It's like everything that he does increases the likelihood 10, 15% more, right? Wins the Open, wins the trial, like it just increases it that much more.
I know, but let's say this. Let's say, I don't know, 72 hours ago or something, he lost to J.O. in the semi, and then maybe like Frank got him, and he took 4th or 5th.
Mm-hmm.
What, do you still think it would have been locked in that he takes an Olympic? I mean, now he beat all these guys. He's feeling confident.
Here's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, I got it. I don't know, but I think it was considered prior. And one thing that is interesting is Cornell has highlighted and circled this year as the year they make a big team push, right? You don't do that without Yianni. You don't do that without Yianni. So I don't know if he maybe considers a Kyle Snyder thing where you're out half the year doing that. But still, the Olympic trials are in April, I'm pretty sure. So he's going to have to do the Kyle Snyder thing where you quick turnaround.
Here's the difference between Yianni and Kyle Snyder at the same of their career. Snyder had lost. Yianni, and I'm not saying that Yianni will protect legacy or protect a potential all-timer kind of thing, but if Yianni does all this freestyle and then just tries to help the team and takes second at NCAAs, he loses his shot at 4-timer.
Who the Fire is beating Yianni, even with he's not losing.
I think it'll be all or nothing. It either be I'm taking the Olympic and I'm gonna do it, or I'm there for my team, and when freestyle comes, I'm back to freestyle.
And the thing is, another thing. I mean, if he's sitting out, if he medals, we'll say he medals. We're like working way ahead. We're already through September, and he just medaled. He's out till the finals, which I think I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I think that makes an Olympic even more or competing that year for Cornell even more enticing, because I don't really have to get up for a whole week.
Right. So basically, if Yianni wins a spot, he's going back into Cornell's room, working on some tilts, working on some stand-ups, getting out from bottom. So he's prepared for next year.
Oh, all right. I thought you were going somewhere with that. All right, so any more Yianni thoughts before we move on? Because freaking Daton Fix won 57. He looked really good. And I guess we can just start with that. I mean, first of all, Thomas Gilman ran right through Nathan Tomasello, hot knife through butter. And then only afterwards I find out that Nato had literally been practicing like 3 weeks. So that's not entirely surprising. Because someone was like, "Man, is Nathan regressed? Is he this?" I was like, I don't think Thomas Gilman has gotten that much better since 2017. I think Nato is not right. And then after I said that, I found out he'd been practicing 3 weeks, and it all made sense. He actually, for the first time ever, did not look otherworldly strong, just like aesthetically either. Like I didn't even think his body looked right. So throw that out. Daton has a tough one against Darian Cruz, just 2-0. And then the finals happens. And Daton comes out.
Whoa. Back it up.
Back it up.
Hold on. Did you back that thing up? Did you talk about Vitaly?
Yeah, he was down 6-0 on Vito.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Got thrown.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he did. He got bombed. He was trying. Vito had a body lock, and he went double overs, and Vito just picked him up where inside trips do not happen when you're in the air. And bombed him for 4. And then I think he was still gathering himself because as soon as they got back to center, immediately in on a shot and a quick finish, and it was 6-0. But you could kind of tell. That's why freestyle is so awesome.
But
you got
to
hold up for 6 minutes.
You got to hold up for 6 minutes. And I've been saying it forever. And Daton's been saying it forever. And a lot of people at Flow have been saying it forever. And Daton said it in his post-match interview. Dayton's not that big, guys. Dayton's not that big, guys. You had a 133-pounder that wrestled this year, and he basically gassed a 125-pounder. I mean, he gassed him.
Yes. So Vito gasses out. But when at the period break, it was pretty evident. It's like, all right, this is going to be. Dayton's going to be fine here. He's not going to be able to withstand 6 minutes. And, yeah, Vito wore out. So, I don't know what else there is to say about that match other than, Vito is clearly on the level for a senior level 57 kilo.
I really want to talk about the Gilman match because I went back and watched night and day. Night and day. They made so many adjustments. For example, if you watch the first match at Final X, do you know what he did for the entire first 90 seconds, 2 minutes of that match? Jab step / level change, right?
Yeah, kept faking.
Almost 20 times, and lefty club to righty underhook, which is fine, but not really offense, right? This time, fights off a shot from Gilman, which is not terribly surprising because Dayton's an excellent scrambler. And then 2 quick finishes, both of them step outs, but quick finishes for the first time, got his hands locked against him, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a totally different match. Because the last time around, he actually shot more, but they were all, kind of half shots, and he couldn't get his hands locked. This time, in clean on that high C, and again, couldn't finish till the end, but got 2 quick step outs, and it was just a totally different match.
Yeah, when you could tell when he was just taking the step outs, he's like little by little, you could tell it was going to be definitely a different match. And one thing that was really telling to me, and he still got moved around a little bit by Gilman, but he had the mat awareness to ground himself right on the edge, which it's a dangerous game to play, and it could have bitten him a little bit because
but that challenge they got wrong.
Yeah, I don't. So it was really interesting to watch. One, that whole sequence is very topical because one, throwing the brick there when you're winning, and you know if you lose the challenge, you are losing with a minute to go. To me, is bad tactics. No matter what, you don't challenge yourself out of a lead against that guy or really any guy. I just don't think that's smart. Even if you're very sure, it doesn't matter because of what just happened. Yeah. Because they are reluctant to overturn their calls, and you know this. You know the nature. If a bad camera angle or a different interpretation, etc., and you're losing. And to me, that was great. And I know Daton was sure his knee didn't touch because you know what? His knee didn't touch. But they still called it. They upheld it, and then that made it 4-4.
That's the dynamic that goes on. Daton knew his leg didn't touch. It didn't touch. He pops up. He tells his corner, throw it. I mean, immediately, throw it. And in the corner was Daton Fix's father and Chris Perry. And I'm pretty sure they were like, this is not smart because the alternative is you're losing. When it to go. And Daton continually said, I know that my leg didn't touch.
So what was explained to me through Derek afterwards is that I forget the exact word he used, but basically when Gilman's leg is under Daton's knee, it's called prevention, I think was the word. When it was there, because it was underneath it and it prevented his knee from going down, that is cause to give him 2 points.
That's the gray area of when you were talking about on Twitter, like you don't need all 3 points down and you're trying to figure out, like, that was the gray area you were referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I
think
the rule?
That's what Derek explained to me, and I'm sure he got clarification from the jury on that. So to me, that is so. To our point, they may have got this call right too, Willie. But the rule is stupid if that's the rule. Because why would you not just put your leg underneath the knee and say, oh, okay, just prevention? It can't be the rule. And also, I don't think that's why Daton's knee didn't touch. Daton's knee didn't touch because he was really, really good there and was unable to.
He went like hard, like starfish quad pod.
Yeah.
How can you tell that if that prevention's a rule? Like, how can you tell how much pressure is there? That's just
that is a good point.
Exactly. That's why it's a dumb rule. It's a dumb rule.
Well, do we know it's a rule though?
Well, no.
We're gonna find out. But yeah, I thought, and they know, like, I understand that it was bang bang play, and it might have been the wrong thing, but it was, and they know they shouldn't have challenged that. But Willie, you're right. When Gilman, it's almost like a lineman, right? When Gilman kind of decides to get that underhook in, you can see he's lowering his level and he's like driving through the sled. But the point about grounding, there was a moment in their Final X match where Daton did that and almost got a step out of it because of how quickly Gilman's head went down. And I feel like they, among the many adjustments they made, they watched that and were like, okay, this is our out to prevent giving up those step outs. And then if you're smart enough, you'll be able to figure out why he was able to get in the legs.
I'll tell you what, in just a general sense, the whole weekend, when you go to the edge and maybe somebody takes a half shot or whatever it is, and you end up whizzer, hip to hip, that's a tough call. And it happens so often.
Yeah.
And like who put their hand out first or who put their head out first? Now, in Gilman Fix, we got a lot of grounded calls. But that situation plays out so often.
Well, and I wonder too, is it a little, will UWW ever look at this and be like, man, this is kind of an out to prevent. We're not really getting the intended thing we want when guys are just dropping to their knees here in this position. But I think that the next thing, if I'm Thomas Gilman, I'm Mark Perry, what am I thinking about as I look to Final X is what is my adjustment when he does that? Because you had him in that position 3 times and got 0 points from it. If you're scoring, you got -2 points because you got scored on it one time. So if you can make the adjustments there, you can win the match.
Yeah, I mean, I also think so. That's not the intended consequence. That's not the intended result. It's also not the intended result for one guy to collar tie and bull rush. You know,
I don't think it's not how
that's Iranian style.
Yeah, I don't view it.
Yeah,
like
it is Iranian style. That's why I mean that's what Chirati does nonstop, right? I don't know.
Listen,
my opinion, I think it's Daton that makes the adjustments going forward.
I don't know.
So last things for me on that. Again, I want to emphasize. I love when I actually get time to do this. Breaking down the whole match. Daton's conversion time was absurd. It's like 6-7 seconds, right? Kind of depending on how you do it. But that's like Yonimitsu, Sedge Live level quickness. And again, 2 of them were step outs, and I didn't know how to do the roll through. But Gilman, aside from that first takedown at Final X last year where he caught Fix walking backwards and his feet were crossed, he's spending 20-30 seconds on attacks, on shots, and not scoring or just getting a step out or putting himself in position. Like, so and this is why it's so beautiful that Mark and Chris Perry have to coach against each other, because they're so detail oriented and they're so smart, and they have 2 super high level guys. But the biggest adjustment for me is Daton's ability to finish quickly and actually get in, and Daton continuing to make life difficult for Gilman when Gilman does decide to shoot.
Well, one thing. The first thing, Nomad, the Chris Perry, Mark Perry thing is not getting enough play.
Yeah.
And if it's Thomas Gilman that makes it through at the World Team Trials Challenge Tournament, we should focus on that. A second thing is that you're right, and that's what I was kind of saying about the Yianni thing and Zane thing. Zane gets in on a leg, and it becomes all kinds of difficult and stalematey and counter. Yanni's one was a little duck, boom, quick finish.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was Daton. And how about him? He challenged, he loses, and he goes out and gets the takedown. Uses that underhook against him, kind of flares it like an elbow control, and he comes right up around the body and plants him. It was very clutch from Daton, and it's hard to say he won't be the rep now at 57 kilograms. I mean, who's coming? No, what's going to be different at the Open for Gilman or at the trials? It's going to be him, right? No one else is going to enter the field that.
Especially, I mean, NATO would have to make a big jump.
It was a really close match. I mean, you have to think that it's Gilman and Daton. I mean, are you saying that you're taking Daton right now?
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
As a world team rep.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. The
sure.
thing that I criticized Daton for, he fixed. So
play on words. I liked it.
You know, I said I'm
taking Daton too. I'm taking Daton too. I mean, I said I think he's the one that makes the adjustments. He has more adjustments to make. He has more upside. Thomas Gilman's been focusing on freestyle for 2 years, while Daton's been trying to ride people out and stuff. He has a month or 2 to focus on one guy. So I got Daton, but man, I mean, that was a really close match.
Yeah,
it was definitely in the margin, sure.
For sure. I mean, I thought Daton would win the Open, and now it's like, now that it's become reality, I think it's even more likely. So, okay, we talked about that. We talked about 57. We talked about 65. Next thing I think we got to – wait, when's your flight, Willie? Do you have to leave?
I got bored in like 12 minutes. And they screwed me. I mean, they didn't screw me. They told me it was D. I have to go to another terminal and stuff and all that jazz.
And how fast are you right now?
Yeah, you better go.
Well, I'm down to 1 gout.
Oh, 1 gout? Single gout?
Single gout, dude. So, I mean, I got some stuff going on.
All right, why don't you go ahead and go then?
All right, I'm going to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay. Have a good day.
Love you.
So long.
Love you guys.
Love you, buddy.
Love you guys. Who's number 1 tomorrow? Me and Nomad.
Who's number 1? We'll find out who's number 1, Nomad or Willie. Now that you have 1 gout, it could be you again. All right, later, bud. Okay, so 70 kilograms.
Oh, boy.
I mean, here's Kyle Brackey. I need you involved, buddy.
Yeah.
I miss you. 70. I can't understand. Like, I get it. Some guys are better at freestyle than folk style, right? It happens, and I can understand why. Daton Fix is like the best turner in the country. It's just different, right? But with Deacon, when he loses matches, it's because he gets taken down and stuff, right? It's not like he's getting he has this like bottom liability or he can't ride at all. He loses takedown things. Like Pantaleo just took him down a bunch, right? So how is it that freestyle he's so different and he beat Pantaleo for 1, then he beats James Green in freestyle? I don't understand it. I can't understand this freestyle to folk style situation. He was 5th at Big Tens.
And when you consider that one of the toughest matches of Nolf's folk style career was Pantaleo, and he was up 6-0 on him. Now he still lost, but it's like, what is going to happen at 70? I don't know. I feel like we kind of know, but I don't feel comfortable.
I know. I really thought. I mean, I picked Nolf to win. He lost 6-6 to Green, late takedown there. But then he almost lost to Pantaleo. I mean, I still, and deep down, kind of think it'll be Nolf that emerges and makes it through, beats Green. But man, it's definitely crazy. And I think he would beat Deacon too, right? But I mean, Ryan Deacon just won the U.S. Open. I know nothing.
It's kind of crazy. It's maybe like the one weight where you feel like the guy that's going to make the team is probably going to come from World Team Trials.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to win World Team Trials and then go to Final X, as opposed to the people that are already sitting or just won the U.S. Open.
Yeah. And so that match with Green, I mean, he had it. Don't forget, Deacon was winning there. But then Green got the takedown in the lace, and you're like, all right, James Green's a multiple world team member. He's been in so many big matches. He's going to figure out a way to.
He knows what to do. Yeah.
He'll close the door here. It was great job. I mean, I'm still leaving that like uber impressed with Deacon and how good he is. But to see him, I don't know what the bigger thing is. Deacon getting the takedown or how James gave it up. Like not giving up the step out or not being able to. I know it's so much easier to like say, okay, just step out. But I was just surprised that Deacon was able to make that happen against someone as good as James Green.
Yeah. So to Brecky's point, because now he just made me think about that. Guys who have the bye, right? It's just men's freestyle. Guys who have the bye since 2009, whether that's earned it to Final X last year or World Team Trials or Olympic Trials, 49-17, their best of 3 series. So
it helps.
The numbers historically say 7 or 8 of the guys who are in Final X right now will win.
What I would like to know is the percentage of open winners, only open winners, because the world team, the guys with world medals skew that number tremendously.
I got that for you.
All right, let's get that one. That's more pertinent.
It's approximately 2/3. It's 36-17, so just over 2/3.
Got it. So 60%.
And that's since 2009, because then the brackets start getting a little hard to find brackets and stuff.
Right. God forbid the history of our sport go back more than 10 years. Jeez.
It's a good sample size, but yeah, right. It's like it's hard to.
We know how Ty Cobb did in one game against the Baltimore Orioles in 1902, but we don't know.
No. But yeah, so 36-17 guys who have won the Open and gotten a bye. So for this, that would, like, next year when I rerun it, that would be Daton, Yianni, and Deacon. Can we real quick talk about how many of the U.S. Open finalists do you think were age level medalists when they were, younger?
70%.
Yeah, close. It was 12 of the 20.
You say 12%.
Yeah, 12 of the 20 guys. 9 won age level medals, and then Bo Nickel, Aymar, and Chance wrestled for age level medals. Yeah. So that whole developmental thing that we've talked about for years and years and years, again, rears its head, and those are the guys that are now having success once again.
Yeah. No, it's every year it's kind of reinforced for sure. Ryan Deacon, U.S. Open champion. What a Northwestern. I mean, those guys.
They balled out.
They are awesome. I mean, Deacon wins. I mean, I still give Brewer for right now,
He's not in Blacksburg yet.
Yeah, he's not there. Yeah. It's not like this redefined his training.
Right.
I think he was entered under Chicago RTC and had those guys in his corner.
Kennedy, it was Kennedy and Leitner in Brewer's corner. And who else? Davison won the Open.
Yaya Thomas beat Andrew Lears.
We were like, Yaya Thomas got seeded 3. We're like, what? Okay, why? I don't understand this. That was like one of the toughest weights, and he won it.
And he gave Lears a tough match last year in the Open in early a 30 round, 32 round, 16, but then got smoked by him at trials. So I'm like, okay, well, this could go one of two ways. I'm going to lean towards the latter. But Lears he'd had a tough match earlier in the tournament against a high schooler, Victor Voinovich.
Oh my gosh, that kid is so good.
He's very tough.
He got so watch that match, Voinovich versus Alirez. Watch the second takedown. It's the same post left side shot, but how tough he had to get on that finish was very telling. I think it turned a lot of heads. A lot of college coaches were there watching. They're like, "Holy cow!" And he's a known guy. He's pretty high on the big board.
I think it's top 10 on sophomore. So
he's going to be a known thing. But anyway, it's impressive.
And I want to go back and watch. So you look at the losses Alirez has had the last couple years. So Murin at the Open, Demas, and then Meredith at Schultz. I'm curious to see if Yaya took anything from those or if he just they just game plan did his own thing, because Alirez couldn't get in on him at all.
Yeah.
Yaya dominated the match. That was not the result may have been a fluke, maybe it could turn out to be, but the match itself wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
In terms of how it was wrestled. Yaya was a better wrestler. Absolutely. 6 minutes.
Man. So that's pretty telling. So good job by Northwestern. What other weights do we want to get to at 814? We just want to quickly kind of run through them. I mean, 61, Brewer over Nico, and it really looked like Nico was going to win that thing. Nico looked freaking fantastic. Mm-hmm. And but Brewer he's just got a couple more ways to score in his upper body. We've seen that lateral drop from him before. He lateral dropped Nishan at Cliff Keen finals back in the day. So he's had that in his arsenal. And, man, 61's interesting because I think that's one where you coming into the trials, finals, I think it'll probably be a coin flip with whoever Brewer gets. I think it's going to be really, really close. Obviously, at this point, since he's won it, you favor him. But I think that's one of the – as far as guys sitting out, that's one where there's vulnerability. I think 61's very much in flux between Cologne and Brewer and whoever makes it to Brewer.
And it's very interesting because Brewer had a terrible Open last year. Look at the results, right? I think it was 1 and 2. And then this year he won the Schultz, which is great, right? Qualified for the trials, so if he got nicked up and couldn't wrestle at the Open, he still had a chance to get to Raleigh. But he didn't necessarily beat anybody where you went, okay, yeah, he's going to be a force. And again, he's always been a force, right? I mean, he's tech Tony Ramos and done all these things. He looked like a world beater out there. The only points he's given up this year were to Nico in the finals in freestyle.
Yeah, and to see that from Cody, who was kind of I'll get scored on and I'll just outscore you, let's have a shootout kind of thing, that's pretty telling as well. And we didn't see, or I didn't see in the matches I called, we didn't see that super tough top game, but he's got it. I know he has it. So good job by Brewer.
The big question, Cologne Suriano slated to happen at Beat the Streets. Mm-hmm. Is Nick going to wrestle for a world team? Is he going to be in Raleigh? Do we know? Do we have a firm yes or no?
I have a firm guess that's no. I don't think that
If he beats Joe, does it change?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Because I did projected seeds, and my question 61 was,
will they count that?
Will they count it, and will Suriano show up either way?
I hope so, but I just don't think he will.
So Nico should be the top. Now, another question is, we didn't see Nashon this weekend. Are we going to see Nashon in Raleigh? Because he's 76-0 against Nico.
That's actual fact.
And has had amazing Nashon and Cody Brewer is one of my favorite rivalries. That always, you never get a 2-1 match with those guys.
No, it's impossible.
It's phenomenal.
So that's 61. 65 we discussed. I'm curious, who do you think comes out of Raleigh at that weight at this point? At Raleigh. Because Yianni's at Final X. It'll be J.O., Zane, Frank, all those dudes. Of course, Ness took third.
So, yeah, Frank took a surprising loss on the backside to Ness. I guess it wouldn't have been surprising a year or two ago, but since then, they've kind of gone like this. But now Ness is back, so that's good. I still think J.O., but, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think it'll be Zane.
I cannot, for whatever reason, I can't buy in on Zane.
I want to pick Zane, but then he hasn't beaten J.O. ever.
Yeah. No, he hasn't. And, are we seeing, amazing, so Zane took a year off, right?
Yeah.
And you could have prognosticated, and I think I suggested, hey, maybe we'll see kind of a different Zane. He'll just been focused on, not that much different. Still really, really good, obviously, but he hasn't, from 2017 World Team Trials to now, I don't see a very different guy.
Right. I mean, he looked great at World Cup, but relative to competition, you're like, okay, well, he kind of supposed to do that. Not to take anything away from him, but, okay, that was good. We saw what we needed to see at World Cup. And then, he lost the match that was in the margins to Yianni, but I don't know. I don't know what the hump is for Zane. I don't know if he can get over it. And by that I mean make this huge jump to Super World level.
Correct. I'm with you there. So Imar beat Gant. He was dominant. Were you gonna say something, Kyle?
I was just gonna say, how about Joey McKenna's not qualified? He was in Final X last year.
Yeah, I guess he's gonna go to Last Chance, right?
He's not. He wasn't registered as of last night.
When can you register by?
That hopefully is a show up.
Yeah.
Dean Heil. Has McKenna ever beaten Dean?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
That is his kryptonite.
How about Dean?
Although he didn't end up placing.
He DMP'd, but he beat McKenna.
He looked great on the front side, and he beats McKenna, and then he's right there with Ironman, ends up getting pinned in classic Ironman fashion.
Classic Ironman.
And then drops down and loses to Kanan Storr, who went on an awesome run on the backside to qualify.
And Kanan Storr's qualified, not Joey McKenna.
Yeah, Kanan Storr lost to Dom Demas first round, which I believe was maybe an All-American round match at NCAAs. And then, comes back and gets 7th.
It's pretty good.
65 is goofy.
Extremely goofy.
Which I guess was supposed to happen when we had 16 or 17, 15 seeded guys.
Yeah, but Kanan Storr was not supposed to be one of them.
I hear you.
Good for him, though. Love Kanan. Imar was kind of supposed to win, and he won. Tommy Gant looked good, but another level. Alex Daringer, we knew he'd go hot knife through butter here, but to not give up a point, it's gonna. I really think it's gonna be him and Dake at Final X. I think he beats Zahid this time.
So you think Zahid shows up to trials? Zahid has to go through the trials again, and Ringer beats him 2 straight.
Chris Pendleton's gonna yell at me. 2 straight.
Part of it's probably recency bias because you just saw Ringer, but Ringer's amazing.
It's not really that. It's apparently Alex Daringer was really, really injured in Rochester last year, and just no one ever knew. No, they never told anyone, but had bad ankle thing going on. So I found that out, and it really made me think. It kind of made everything make a lot more sense. I still think it's a really tough match with him.
In terms of the attacks that he couldn't get to.
Yeah, and how well not only that, but how easily Zahid was able to get in. He just didn't have that mobility. This guy was right there. When you look at Ringer's international ledger and how good he does overseas, and then you watch how good he does against Kyle Dake at the Open and against everyone else, and then he gets smoked 2 times by Zahid Valencia. There's a lot of evidence that is a complete outlier.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm kind of starting to think maybe it will be him.
I mean, let's be very clear, he could have beaten Dake last year.
For sure.
Like, that match was kind of interesting because it just makes you think about if they call the Burroughs-Dake match differently in 2017, if last year's Ringer-Dake match goes differently.
He's in Final X.
Right. But I believe, I'm trying to find it, I believe Ringer's only international loss to a non-American in the last few years is to Gadji at Urigan this year.
Yeah.
Which is, a guy who beat Dake and was a bronze medalist.
Right.
Guys, Ringer's absolutely world level. Yeah. Probably top 5 when healthy.
Yeah, someone asked it, is he our most dominant non-world medalist or maybe non-starter?
5-2 lost to Gadji.
The answer is yes. He's really, really stinking good. PD3, he runs through the entire Buckeye alumni, quarters, semis, finals.
Oh, yeah.
Courts, Martin, and Heflin. I didn't realize that until he tweeted it. I didn't put it together because they're all in different places now. But, yes, he did. So Downey probably would have started at Ohio State. So the most interesting match was the Miles Martin one, which was over in every way imaginable. He's down 7-0. He didn't have a whiff of a point at any point. And then just the way they go in freestyle, a little thing happened. You get a step out. He got a takedown. Miles takes a bad shot, gives up a go behind, and then you're underneath Pat Downey, who's really good on top.
Very solid gut wrench. So when I wrote my preview, I based a lot of me picking Downey on 2 things. Number 1, what I saw from him in January, which was just comfortable, relaxed, no, this training situation that I'm in, this NJRTC, they love me, they support me, they're my brothers, they're got me in the right way. And then Miles losing to Max Dean when he had toyed with him for 2 matches and smoked him last year in freestyle in U23s. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I just don't know where Miles' head is at. And that's really hard to, criticize a super high-level guy. But that was my concern. And then he didn't wrestle back the second day. So I hope Miles is okay because I'd love to see optimized Miles Martin at World Team Trials.
Oh.
But, yeah, it was Pat Downey, not known for second-period wrestling.
Well,
and got it done.
It was so funny because I feel like he maybe plays possum a little bit. He takes these big breaths. I'm like, Downey's about to melt down. He stands straight up. He looks so tired. But either it's one of 2 things. He's just playing possum and messing with you, which I don't know, or he is that tired and it just doesn't matter. It's like a Russian. They can just fight through it, and they just get really tough. And even though they feel horrible and they are very tired, they can still wrestle really hard. And I think that might be what he's able to do.
Is it a little Dake thing, where when Dake comes back to the edge sometimes at the break, he looks dead. He's hanging. But then you're like, he's not tired.
Yeah.
He just looks terrible.
It was so funny. Nomad was doing interviews with the semifinal winners, and it was 7-3 with 30 seconds to go, and he looks at me, he's like, hey, who will Miles have on the other side?
Yeah.
And I was like, Heflin, he won. And then as soon as we said that, Downey gets a takedown, and then gut, and the look on Nomad's face was hilarious. He was just stunned. It was hilarious.
This is a crazy match.
It was shocking. And watching that, I guess if you're Miles Martin, you're probably hoping, if you're Pat Downey, you're hoping not for Miles Martin to make it through Raleigh. I mean, that clearly looks like the toughest matchup, and winning that way is not super replicable. But he's going to get to sit out all day, and this is where the World Team Trials sit out is a bigger advantage than the Final X sit out from a
weight perspective.
Yeah, or not just a weight perspective, from a this guy wrestled all day perspective.
Well, it's second day though. But yeah, you have to wrestle a whole tournament day before.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's hard. So I think either way, it's going to be, Miles is going to have it to do, but it'll be tough. But you mentioned something about Miles forfeiting out, which apparently after multiple guys forfeited out.
Oh, yeah.
Miles did, Nato did, Jordan Oliver did. And say what you want, but we all kind of saw the JO forfeit thing coming. But apparently, there was some vote of some kind afterwards, after JO forfeited out to whether he would be able to wrestle in the trials. And apparently, the vote was close. This makes no sense to me at all. Like something where because he didn't have some medical thing, he wasn't able to forfeit out or whatever. I don't understand why this was up for any vote of any kind, but you guys made the rules. Top 7 qualify for the trials. There's no caveat of the circumstances. To my knowledge, there's no caveat where if there's some reason or not reason to wrestle.
When you look at the trials procedures, right, which are publicly available on themat.com
via the Freedom of Information Act,
publicly available, and they're somewhat extensive, right? Like because they have to be approved by the USOC, right? They have to go through lawyers, and there's processes like for the Green Marable situation a few years ago, right? So they try to think of every little thing. That weigh-in thing is not in there.
Yeah,
and you can't change the rules midstream to you have to weigh in because, and I think you were the one that said this when we were talking about it the other day. If those guys had known that, in all likelihood, they would have weighed in.
Yeah, if Jo knows, okay, I have to wrestle on day 2 or I'm not qualified, I will wait. You can't just he didn't weigh in. We should vote on this.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. So I don't think there's going to be anything that comes of it. I think it would be highly inconsistent if they did that, and there's no way the Court of Arbitration Sport would allow that.
Yeah.
But listen, if you want guys to wrestle on day 2, then put it in writing.
Right.
Otherwise, when guys make the semis and don't win, they're gonna dip.
Yeah.
Period. And you know what? I don't listen. We made shows about medical forfeits, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But I'm against them. But it's in the rule, and I'm not gonna say I want to see a guy have to not be able to wrestle in the trials as a result of you guys changing the rules midstream.
Right.
So I just wanted to say that. Bo Nickel, Jaden Cox is going to happen at Final X. Bo will have to win at World Team Trials, but my goodness, he's so much better than these guys. He is so stinking good. I have no idea what's going to happen, Bo versus Jaden, but I can't wait for it. He's absolutely outstanding.
I asked him about this in the interview, and I think somebody asked us this in a question from a friend a while ago. Does Bo's baseline stuff get kind of overshadowed?
Yes.
Like he just lefty high seed Zilmer to death.
Yeah.
He may have thrown him once. I can't quite remember. But pretty much it was baseline, lefty high seed, quick finish, right? Glue your ear to the side, takedown. That's not
throws.
That's not otherworldly technique. It's great technique in the sense of how he's able to get in and stuff, but that's very basic stuff. And I think we just forget that in addition to being super creative and being super fun, Bo can also just beat you just regularly.
Yes. No, it definitely needs mentioning and reminding that he's a lot more than just a toss monster, cradler, scramble machine. Mm-hmm. Kyvan beat Ben Hannes, who I think Willie was especially aggressive against, but we all kind of got a chuckle when he was the 3 seed. We're like, wait, how does this happen? Well, he placed at the Open 5th last year, which I had no idea, but that was, Austin Schaefer also won that weight, so there was a lot of shenanigans going on. But Kyvan Gadsden, I think it's going to be Kyvan and Snyder again.
Yeah. So Kyvan beat Hannes in the quarters last year, beats him in the finals this year. Hannes' gut wrench.
Yeah.
My goodness.
He's good.
If you could gut wrench people in NCAA, he would have done better than 8th.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
For sure.
And he mentioned this, and this is kind of something we knew. That was a tough cut for him, right? Down to 97, 197 during the college season. Those extra, was that 16 pounds?
Yeah.
Helped him bigly. And then
he's huge.
The surprising thing for me, Danny Chade beats Ty Walls for third, and Walls barely got by Chade on the front side. So now I'm not so sure that it's not going to be Hannes and Gadsden again in the trials finals, because I think Hannes is going to beat Walls.
I think Chade's going to probably take out Snyder. His upside is out of control. Then Adam Kuhn beats Tony Nelson. He had to dig deep there and get a takedown, and did. So Kuhn is Kuhn. Is that how he got it?
Well, that was what sealed. He was up 3-2. Tony shot, and he got the crotch lock to make it 5-2.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we're looking like probably Kuhn Gwiz once more. He's sitting out to the trials finals. Is Adam Kuhn, where he'll probably await, I don't know, Tony Nelson again. So it was last year. So
because Nelson beat Bradley, and they've got they go back years.
Yeah.
Right. Even remember that scuffle final from what was that, 2013, 2014?
I think it would have been 13.
13. That was nuts. And then but Mike Kasoy beat Bradley at the Schultz. But yeah, it's probably going to be Nelson Kuhn, and then winner gets Gwiz at Rutgers.
And Gable is not qualified for trials, right?
Gable is qualified for trials.
This face. So you can try to make a junior. I want him to wrestle.
I would like him to wrestle as well.
All right, so we're united.
We would all like him to wrestle.
United Gable Steveson front. We'll see. I hope that he does. So, okay. Those are all the men's freestyle weights. I want to get into these new NCAA rules.
I wondered if we were going to.
Proposal. Yeah, I got to talk about it because a couple things. One, here's a quick rundown of the changes. Then we can dive a little bit deeper into them. Video review. They're trying to avoid frivolous video reviews, right? So now if you are a coach and you challenge something, if it is not overturned, it is a stall warning, okay? Which, that's fine, I guess. But of all the issues with video review, I don't think the frivolity of the challenges was the top thing for me. I think this will limit challenges in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the problem is that these guys won't change their calls either. So you're going to have potential bad calls. I mean, to get into the Daton Soriano one, for example, that was they just decided they weren't going to call that rule. They just sometimes decide they don't want to change things, right? So I don't think that's going to be right. So I don't think they really fix much there. But I do think there are frivolous challenges, and I think this could limit them in some way. But it's only going to – when do we see frivolous challenges, Nomad? At what point in the matches?
When guys need lungers.
Well, okay.
What are you saying?
That's one. That is one. But I was thinking
I don't know where you're going
at the
with that.
end. Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. At the end of matches.
Oh, you mean YOLO bricks?
They're basically YOLO bricks.
Okay, yeah.
At the end of the match, I'll throw it, right?
Sure.
The match is likely not within the 1 point stall warning margins at that point. So you're still going to see it from time to time. So I don't think it's going to limit it all that much. But that's not a big deal. Medical forfeits are now losses. Are we going to call this the Shakur Rashid rule?
Remember, all these rules are pending, by the way.
All these rules are pending.
So
they have to be voted on.
They have to be voted on.
Or maybe it's the Stevan Mich. I don't know what rule this is. Maybe no one gets a name for it. But they're going to say these are going to count as losses now, which is going to be fascinating because, one, it's going to jack up seeds in a major way. But
good.
Yeah. So either wrestle or don't wrestle, but what I think it will limit is like just entering into tournaments altogether.
They were very pointed with the way that they said this because the why this is likely to get shot down is the health committee, whatever that is going to say we don't want guys to wrestle when they are legitimately hurt. I don't think that's going to happen because
it's not going to happen.
What is actually happening is the complete opposite, which is guys, in all likelihood, who can wrestle, don't. And the way they worded it was, additionally, this would provide for improved communication between the wrestler, medical personnel, and coach as to the wrestler's readiness to enter competition, which is, if you can't go, we all understand. Save your body. If you can, please wrestle.
Yes. So someone immediately tweeted at me like, wow, so this is going to encourage injured wrestlers to compete. I said, no, it should not. It should not do that. If they can't wrestle, that's why you have coaches and that's why you have trainers. And all of you have all those things. And if there are coaches that are putting guys out there, that's a lot. First of all, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. You're just like, I say, please sue me. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen much. I really don't. I'm not trying to be naive here. I think that's just reality. I think you'll see a scope for how many of these guys could wrestle and just choose not to. They don't want to wrestle back, or they're being risk averse, or they're not wrestling well, and they're going to forfeit out.
The interesting thing about them counting as losses. So what we're talking about is when you look at when the NCAA does that seeding matrix, right? It's losses at the weight at which they are competing. So, like, for example, such as the Iraq, Sebastian Rivera going up to Stefan Micic did not count as a loss on his resume, which it shouldn't have. What is interesting is that the medical forfeits count as quality win points, right? When you're doing the matrix, so like Pletcher over Micic count as a quality win point, but it didn't count like for the actual win-loss ledger, and now it could, which I agree with. If you do not wrestle, you should be penalized. Yeah. Sorry.
No, so I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm not. I think it's a smart rule. Weigh-ins, no more hour weigh-ins.
Huge.
Duels are 2 hour weigh-ins. Tournaments, most of them are 2 hours anyways. That is interesting. Ethan Lezak's like, oh, now no hour weigh-ins?
Really?
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
I had a coach DM me
4 years.
DM me last night who was like, man, everybody's talking about this, that, and the other. The weigh-in is massive change for some of these guys.
Oh, that's big. That's really big. I don't know what else to say other than no more 2 hour weigh-ins.
Yeah, it's going to be huge for guys to get a lot more fluids back in them than they usually would have been able to.
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
It does mean guys are going to have to wake up a little earlier on like tournament days. But
tournament days, a lot of them are 2 hours anyways.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I said that. That's a good point. It's mainly duels. You're right.
Yeah. So it's four duels. That'll be...
Strike that from the record.
Strike. We'll edit that part out. Saunas. You can now get the benefits of saunas out of season. So they weren't sure if you were able to before, so they clarified that because there were probably some snitches like turning in athletes for using saunas out of season because that's happening. But no, you can use the sauna out of season now, which good. You should be able to use it all the time because it's great for you.
Not to cut weight.
Yeah, not to cut weight.
To recover.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
Warnings, stall warnings. This is whoever wrote this, Willie pointed this out to me. They need to rewrite this because I'll just read it.
It does sound weird.
The committee recommended a tweak to the penalty sequence for stalling violations. After the initial warning, the proposal called for a single match point to be deducted for the next two violations. A fourth stalling violation would be a 2-point match deduction, and the last stalling violation would be a disqualification. So, guys, they don't deduct points in wrestling.
Right, they add.
Your opponent gets, so there's no deductions. So that needs to be rewritten. The opponent gets one. You don't get deducted. You don't go -1. The only change in this is instead of going warning 1-1-1 DQ, it is now warning 1-1-2 DQ.
Which I thought was how it used to be.
I think it wasn't high school. Sometimes I get my high school and college mixed up.
I'd like to go with the deductions for stalling.
Yeah?
Just tick them down?
Yeah, it would be hilarious. You'd probably have some matches that end with guys with negative points.
It'd be like 5 to Minkle one time.
This doesn't change DeSanto's ability to stall people out in the first period. That was the most insane.
Like Cody Russell would have had negative points.
Negative points.
That would have been hilarious.
That's insane.
Okay, but now here it is.
Uh-oh.
The thing we complained about all year long, the stupid hands to the face point of emphasis, and they think they addressed it. They did nothing here but make it worse. I'll read it to you. And real quick, McKenna will be at last chance. So there's that.
Yes.
The committee has proposed a reclassification of hands to the face from an unnecessary roughness violation to an illegal hold. Rules for illegal holds indicate that whenever possible, illegal holds should be prevented rather than called. This would provide referees more flexibility to use verbal cues, issue formal warnings, and or stop the action as potentially dangerous before calling an illegal hold. Referees still may call an illegal hold for hands to the face without warning if they determine it is appropriate. Okay. Now, what are examples of illegal holds? Head scissors, full Nelson, headlock without the arm, the illegal cutback thing, mat return.
Yeah.
Okay. Riddle me this. When have you ever seen those positions warned at any point ever? It doesn't happen. There's no warning. The illegal thing happens and you call it a
Full
point
Nelson's
penalty.
immediate.
Immediate. The illegal headlock. They don't say, hey, can you get the arm? Can you? Now, I'll hear them say things like on a leg attack, keep it legal, or watch the knee or something
Or
like
an arm bar.
Yeah. Arm bar, and they never really call the arm bar illegal.
No, I'm just saying, but that's an example of them talking through the position.
Exactly. There's no, if I'm wrestling Nomad, what are they going to see my arm begin to extend and like give a verbal warning as close? That's not possible. So here's why they made it worse. You made it worse, guys. I know you want to address it, but the way you address it is you take a big black marker and you strike through it completely. That's how you fix hands to the face. Because what you did is make it more inconsistent, and you're going to give us a bigger headache. And here's why. Because one ref who hates this rule is going to give someone a warning for doing it. Right? And I don't know how they're going to do that. It makes no sense to me. But that's going to happen. And then the exact same thing is going to happen. And another ref is going to call it 1 point automatically. Right. Maybe in the same match if we're lucky. Okay? That is going to happen. You didn't fix it. You made it worse. You made it more confusing. You added details and layers of complexity that are going to confuse refs further and get them further from being on the same page. You could have fixed it and you made it worse. And that's it.
It's like in freestyle, right? They have the attention for popping guys in the face and grabbing the fingers and all. It's like if one ref was like, nah, no attention, it's just points. But other refs are like, no, I'm gonna stop the match and explain, hey, we can't be grabbing fingers. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't know why they did make it worse.
Now, Mr. Matt Valeni, 2-time NCAA champion, has said he would love to come on and answer questions for us. And was very I think I saw him respond to some tweets yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he was.
So positives, NCAA is trying to be open and transparent about these things. So it sounds as though we can get some clarification. We can get some answers about our questions.
And I'm really stunned to see they didn't address the edge at all after what we saw all year and basically throughout this rule's existence, and they didn't address it in any way is really alarming. That they're still gonna pretend that this rule is good and appropriate and completely called, and not every time there's a inconsistent call where they just blame the ref and say the ref messed it up. No, you messed it up, rules writer, because you made it completely difficult to call.
Does this about match what? Because I had kind of gotten some stuff after the meetings happened in what was it, April or not April? Good Lord, whatever after NCAA's. Does this about match what you heard was coming out of this?
No, you guys were. Willie was like, headgear's done. But I don't think that's happening.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is that it kind of there's some stuff off that we got.
I don't remember any of the. There was like some review stuff. I don't remember much else.
No, I heard this match is what I was told, which was it's going to be stalling. Which, by the way, make it a point. It should be a point. It should be a point.
Yeah, I'm not super passionate either way about that. Okay,
I am. I'll die on that hill.
He will die on the failed challenge as a point hill.
I don't think we'll see the medical forfeit thing go through.
I don't either.
That's stupid.
That health committee's gonna veto that, and that's why.
Do you know what that says? Then if they don't let that go through, they're saying they believe that a coach and medical staff would let guys who are injured wrestle.
Truly injured should not be out on the mat.
That's what so if the medical people, whatever, if you pass that, that's what you're saying. You're saying the people in charge are not going to protect athletes.
And I mean, there's some logic behind that in the sense of like humans can be inherently bad and will just like do bad things if you allow them to, and that's why we have a rule of law. But like, come on, man. I just don't think a lot of coaches are going to send out injured wrestlers. I don't think wrestlers are going to be like, hey, coach, Like, my knee is screwed up. I cannot walk right now. If you send me out there, this guy's going to single leg me to death. I will not be able to stop it. I'm going to lose anyway. So, can I get healthy, please?
Well, I think CP nailed it. I think you're just going to see more guys, if there's even a question of whether they're healthy or not, just either not enter the tournament or not wrestle the dual meet.
Mm-hmm.
So that they don't even risk getting hurt more.
Yeah. Okay. Want to get to some questions?
Please.
A lot of gout questions, but Willie can't answer them. Basically, using the word out and putting gout in them, or gout wrenches was one.
Gout wrenches?
Yeah. So you guys are getting really creative, and we love it. He's down to 1 gout, which is great progress. But based on what was happening in the airport, I'm sure we're going to have double gout here sooner rather than later. Sammy Sasso champ at 149 next year. Also, shout out to K Brackey. The family is highly invested in the Alien Hour.
Thank you.
If Alien Hour was the president, it would have the highest approval rating of all time. Sammy Sasso at 149 champ next year. I say yes.
Yeah, I'm strongly leaning that way.
I've kind of been saying that for a little bit. Austin O'Connor's good. I think Koladzik's going to take Olympic. I mean, unless Yianni wants to come up, which doesn't really make sense to me, I think he's going to win.
I would really like if Braden Lee and Sammy Sasso just wrestled in like 4 NCAA finals. I like those kids. I think they wrestle hard. So can we just make that happen? That'd be cool.
Well, maybe that'll be a new rules proposal.
I think it should be.
They'll throw out the medical forfeit thing and make Sasso Lee the finals for 4 years. I think that'll happen. Are there any whispers on the absence of Spencer Lee from freestyle? No. Just doesn't want to wrestle.
Yeah, I don't know what the whispers would be. He's either going to wrestle or he's not going to wrestle. And if he does wrestle, everyone will be very happy. And if he doesn't, everyone will understand, because a lot of guys don't wrestle freestyle during college and then start again once they're done.
So I had a thought here. What's more impressive, Snyder winning the Open at 19 or Yianni running the gauntlet and winning it all this year? I think it was Kyle, just based on the quality of the guys he beat. And I will say I was probably equally surprised. Maybe I was more surprised when Kyle did it, because I just did not expect him to beat Varner at that point. He beat Jaden in the semis. I forget who he had previously.
That's what I'm going to look up.
But, yeah, that's my thought.
It was pretty surprising because we just saw him lose to Kyvan Gadsden.
Yeah.
Like a few months before. And he had barely beaten Jaden in the semis of that tournament.
Mm-hmm. He didn't win Big Tens.
Right. So, I don't know. Yianni at least was a 2-time NCAA champ, hadn't lost in a while. But
yeah.
I think Varner or Snyder's more impressive, just the 2 he beat.
Yeah.
So this was Snyder's road. First round bye, he beat Tech Romero Cotton, fine. Beat Dustin Kilgore, who I believe had made the national team the year before. Then beat Cox, who at the time had never made a team, but obviously we know how good Cox is going to be. And then beat the Olympic champion 2-1. Yeah. So in terms of medal credentials, even at the time, there were more that Snyder beat.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, I guess not that 65 isn't a man's weight, but like 97, as much as we were saying the strength thing for Yianni, 97, you're talking gorillas.
Yeah.
213-pound men, cut down from 220, 225, 230. Huge, powerful human beings.
Yeah. I thought this question was just funny. Is throwing the challenge brick snitching?
Yes.
It is. Bracky thinks it's snitching, so it's snitching.
Sure.
It seems to me, this is from Nomad's Worst Take, which is Jude from Home Ad Advantage Podcast. It seems to me that there are considerably more last-second lead changes at the highest level in freestyle than in folk style. This is due to the relative easiness of scoring in freestyle or the commitment of the senior level guys to achieving. Well, yeah, it's just easier. There's so many more ways to score.
I think good analysis by Jude. I think he misses the point. We're not going to have this argument, but it's criteria. Because when there's criteria, someone is always winning. And because someone's always winning, someone is always losing. And so as awesome as overtime is, what you have when you have overtime is guys standing around for the final minute.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas in freestyle, guys have to go after them. So I think there is a component where it's easier to score because exposure, right, and step out. And I do think that senior level guys do try harder because they are senior level guys and this is their livelihood. But I would attribute it primarily to criteria.
Criteria is a good point. I also think we kind of, as a country, stink at not getting scored on late in match. I think we just see it at the level, senior level. Sometimes we're just like bad at that. When we try to protect a lead, we lose leads.
Even some of our highest level guys will now, not super often, but yeah, I mean James, right? Burrows at Worlds against Sidakov, right? So it does happen, and yeah, I think that's kind of and I think part of it is because you don't have to defend a lead when it's 4-4 in folk style. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I'm gonna get a lot of pro overtime, and I'm just go away.
Yeah, I like your angle though. The idea that someone's always losing at any point in the match. Someone's losing. It's really good. Any other question? We know guts will be a thing this year. Will gouts be a thing? Asperg. Yes.
Already is.
It already is. It's a thing. It's an epidemic. How is it possible that so many fans are uneducated about the qualification process for Final X? Well, Jacob Wilson, I don't think it's complicated. I do think we've tried to explain it, but it is still somewhat new and is a little.
It's only its second year.
And the thing is, when it's like this weight goes to the Final X and this weight goes to by here, it is a little bit like. It's very dynamic. Right?
I do think if you have been paying attention to freestyle for more than like 3 years, like prior to the Olympics, and you don't understand it, I question you a little bit.
Because it's the same.
But I get it for the people coming. And again, we're trying to.
I think the other thing too is there's a lot of new freestyle fans.
That's it. That's a big part of it.
There's a lot of new freestyle fans every year, as either they get exposed to it through someone they know wrestling in it, or their favorite college wrestler transitioning over into it.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get and it's already started, a big influx of Penn State fans. It started with David, and then Zane, and now Bo and Jason. Mm-hmm. And especially if they make world teams, it's just going to pull even more of those people in, which is great. Iowa obviously indoctrinates new fans every year as they continue to put guys on world teams. Ohio State's been, Ohio RTC's been putting guys on world teams. So I think the bigger fan base is, the more guys are on teams, the more likely you are to have new fans roll in year after year.
Yeah. Why is Daton more offensive, aggressive, and confident in freestyle than he is in folk?
You made a change.
He said in his interview, he was like, I just keep replaying that NCAA final over and over in my head, and I'd realized I just have to pull the trigger. So I think that was just like a big wake-up call to him, like, I got to go.
Yeah. I wonder if in folk style, I reject the premise somewhat because it's, I guess, more aggressive. He is more aggressive in freestyle, but it makes it sound like he's not aggressive in folk. But there are times when he certainly isn't. Both Soriano matches, for sure, he was not aggressive. But I think there is some stylistic thing going on there. But when he does pull the trigger, he is so good. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think with folk style, he's won matches without having because he can win in so many different ways in folk style. He could ride you out, or he can counter you. I think he got into a thing like, well, I don't have to pull the trigger to win.
Right, he's really good on top in folk style.
He's good on top at folk style. He's really hard to take down. And so if you can get away, you can ride people and not get taken down. I think J-Rob always said something like this. If you can get away and not get taken down, you're going to win almost all your matches, right? So I think Daton, in that way, whether subconsciously, you don't go into a match saying, I'm just going to win this way, but in your subconscious, you can win this way. And I think maybe that's part of it. Now he knows you just got to pull the trigger and get the legs, and he did it. So maybe that's it. So I'm curious to see now, as he makes this run here in freestyle, how is that going to transition next year? Because he could be 33 next year, I'm guessing, and it's going to be a really good weight. And he's going to be against Nick Soriano, and maybe Seth Gross is going to be in the mix next year. He's going to have to be able to pull the trigger.
Yep.
Micic?
Yeah. How did I not say that? Micic.
They still didn't wrestle this year, did they?
Somehow.
No. Somehow. It's like Piccinini and Rivera. They're just destined to never wrestle.
Never going to hit.
Never going to happen. Okay. Anything else before we depart, dear friends? Where would Aria stack up in the 125 rankings?
high.
I mean,
pretty high.
Yeah. She murders people for sport.
She's definitely undefeated. I mean, at this point in her career, I don't know what the comparison is.
Does she have the best win?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right now, she needed that elite win.
She beat that's Slay over Satiev. That's you beat Icho. You beat Burroughs. Or like.
Yeah, that's a really good one. When you beat the Night King, that's a high quality win. They can't take that from you.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know where Saving Humanity ranks, but
now.
How do you factor in Saving Humanity?
Nomad's just mad because he thought the Ice Zombies were going to win.
It's not just that I thought they were going to win. It's that I desperately wanted a show or a movie to just end so miserably. Just like the point of the show is that death wins. Because they kept saying, we're fighting death. We're fighting death. Do you know what happens in real life? Death wins 100% of the time. None of us get out of life alive.
Wow.
It's stupid. They're like, no,
not 100% of the time. Have you ever heard of Jesus?
Yeah.
He had a 3-day spell there.
Yeah, but he came back.
He
came back though.
But it won for a time. Then it got overturned.
It won for 3 days.
The call got overturned. I understand that.
The Lord threw the brick.
It was a long review process.
But through the scope of eternity, not that long.
Right.
3 days is but a blink of an eye.
Sure.
Yeah, fair point. But listen, you're saying yes, everyone does die. That is basically true. However, every show, there's no show that is, by the same token, no show has ever ended like that.
I know. That's why I was like, just do it. Just do it. It's going to be so great. Jaggers had the best, Coach Jay Jaggers had the best analogy. He's like, you know who came out big in this episode? Cersei. She got a bye to the finals while the guy who was up 14-0, way better on the opposite side, got pinned. And in the process of the guy getting the pin, he rolled his ankle. Was like, I'm going to give it a go anyway.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I have a lot of things that kind of annoyed me about that, just from the tactical decisions that Jon Snow and Daenerys were making with the dragons. Where were they going? What were you doing? And then they come back and they just start annihilating the White Walkers with their dragons. It's like, you could have been doing that for a while.
Felt like instead of starting with the guys on the horses, like just sending them out, they should have started with the dragons.
Right.
Yeah. Go with what's the point of the dragons?
Like, you killed the Dothraki, who were like your best fighters, like immediately.
They set it up so well. They like all the tension and it built, right? And then they got all the Dothraki, and then Melisandre came through, and then they're like, oh, we got flaming rocks, and then they started throwing the catapult bomb. Fire rocks. I'm like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. And then they come back and they're just like, no, and then no, we don't want that smoke.
Yeah, all that fire just disappears.
Yeah,
I thought it meant they were all dead when the fires went out. I mean, most of them were.
Yeah, I mean, some of them
most were.
But but then just like just the whole episode, it sucked. We never figured out why Bran or Night King was after Bran.
Didn't suck.
Like George R.R. Martin is better than, and I haven't even read the books. But I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this because, and I'm gonna base it. This is gonna be like a Willie thing. I'm gonna base it off what other people have told me. But clearly, they don't pay attention to details as well as George R.R. Martin. Or there's so many details, and R.R. Martin told them this is how they need to end it.
Nerd.
And even he was like, there's too much going on. I can't wrap this up. Which is what I thought was going to happen after the first episode. Nothing happened. I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to wrap all this up. And they didn't. And I don't know if I'm going to watch the last 3 episodes now. I'm that upset.
Shut up.
And now I'm sweating.
You crazy sweating through the RTC
Oh my
South
gosh.
shirt. Nomad is said he is so upset.
You literally just started thinking about all these things right now, and then got yourself more pissed off the more you talked.
No, I thought about I was screaming at my television.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, yes, no.
I cannot
Well, the
believe
reason you were screaming is because you have to give Spay $20.
Yeah, I mean, I did. That's fine.
I know, but that's why you were
I
screaming.
won a lot of crap table, so I'm good.
You're nice. High roller. You're a smart guy. I can't believe you made that bet or really thought that Evil was going to
It was a lot with my heart. I really wanted Evil to win for once.
You're also going to watch the last 3 episodes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, you are.
But one thing that bugged me is how many times our favorite heroes, Brienne and Jaime Lannister, they're like literally getting pinned by Samuel Tarly. Gave up more near fall than Spencer Lee opponents. He's just laying on his back with the evil on him. He's this fat guy, but then they just cut to him later and they're fine. They're just running around. No one ever dies. It's like, all right, this show's been like so realistic, like, you know, kind of no one's safe. And then all these guys are just being trampled by these evil things, and they're fine.
They also shifted the White Walkers, and maybe this is like just when the Night King's around, but in the early part of the show, they were just like gung-ho, go forward. So, like I'm talking like the beginning of the show, like the first 2 seasons. So the fire trench was a great idea, right? Because they're just like, hey, they're just going to go in and get burned. But then you saw it when there was the episode where they wouldn't walk in water, and then you saw it here where they would just like stop, and then just like wait for the Night King to tell them what to do, and then they're just like, oh, okay, we're just gonna like smother the fire.
And also, are they Walking Dead zombies, or are they just like these undead great soldiers? Because they're walking around that thing with Arya, just running into stuff like they're slow, and then. But
then there's other ones.
So what are we working with here?
Yeah.
Well, what are these guys? Let me know.
Although, last thing, I am glad that it wasn't John. Or we knew that when they set that up kind of poorly.
I'm tired of John.
Where they were like, can he get killed by fire? And Bran's like, I don't know.
John
Nobody's ever done it.
That's my point.
But so when Daenerys said like Dracarys, you were like, pfft. Like as I was watching, I was like, he's just gonna be like, yeah, and cool. But then the like note was where Arya stabbed him was where they put the dragon glass when he was made the Night King. So, but I'm glad that
I've got Caleb in the back is saying spoiler warning. Listen, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, listen, I feel nothing.
It's been like 48 hours.
I feel nothing giving spoiler alerts. And if something gets spoiled to me, you know, that's what you watch. If you don't want it spoiled, watch it live. Or quit, Caleb. That's your only 2 options. Never do this show. Oh, Caleb watched it. So he's just complaining on behalf of other people. Caleb, you need to be mic'd anyways, just so people can hear this dialogue. Otherwise, they just think we're talking to ourselves.
Who's gonna kill Cersei?
Who's gonna Tyrion.
Yeah, I hope that happens.
Oh wow, there it is.
God
Arya
voice.
says Caleb. Love it. All right, we'll find out.
I think it's gonna be Jaime.
Ooh, I would like that too.
Now here's the really and then we need to go. But this is a really interesting one. Arya faceless man's into Jaime and kills Cersei.
Arya? Oh.
But then Jaime's got to die.
Why?
Yeah, well.
Be faceless.
Yeah. No, doesn't have to happen. They've done it before. Anyway, I think that
Do you still think the Littlefoot guy's alive?
Littlefinger?
I don't know.
Littlefoot's the character from Land Before Time.
They
classic.
They screwed it all up. I'm so upset.
He thought Littlefinger was still alive. He had a whole thing. Is it still possible he's alive?
Yeah, it's still possible he's alive. I knew this is when I got myself worked up. The day of, I read and I watched 20 YouTube videos and read 6 hours of Reddit theories of just all these expansive, fascinating, like really well researched and like just interesting theories. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like, can we make these happen? These guys are better writers than the actual show. Like, this would be cool if this happened. And none of them happened.
By the end of it all, you thought the Earth was flat, probably. Doing your YouTube deep dive. You good to go?
Yeah.
All right, Caleb, we're ready to go.
Good show, boys.
Good show. I hope you watch Game of Thrones. Otherwise, at least we did it at the end of the show. We didn't put it in the middle. But most of you watched based on Twitter. And if not, maybe you'll be... now you don't have to because we just told you what happens. So that's good.
Who's number one tomorrow? Show Thursday. Last chance qualifier this weekend. Beat the Streets Monday. I'm sure we're going to talk about all those things on Thursday.
I'm sure that we will. For Kyle Brackey and Daniel Roy Lobdell Jr., the Wrestling Nomad. I'm Christian Piles. Thanks for listening. We will see you in 2 days. Have a good one. Thanks.